Morning, ladies and gentlemen, guys and girls. So it's 5:26 today. This morning I'm wasted enough time. Supposed to have woke up at 5 and it's already 5:26 and I haven't started it because I woke up, I washed my face, I cleared my room a bit, made my desk neat, and then I went outside, got some fresh air, made myself a cup of coffee. You might think, oh, that was all like, kind of productive things, but still, like, purpose of waking up this time is supposed to be working. And I mean, your small stuff like that, just going outside and going in to make me a cup of coffee, it's like, takes almost 20 minutes of my time. So, yeah, I'm gonna start. Probably gonna do, yeah, hour and a half on no, hour keyboard. So I'll finish off by 6. Then I'll do an hour reading and then an hour trading as well. So yeah, that's my plan, ladies and gentlemen. All the ladies with plans, the ladies with desperate men. So yeah, hour got making. Biscuits is good. Biscuits is really, really good. So now I'm sitting and thinking like, "Hmm, this is actually good. This is really, really good. That's my that's my flowing accent. You know what I'm saying? That is good. It's really, really good. I I like it. Last thing is I went to sleep after 12 because I was playing chess and I went to go sleep in not a jam mood, but yeah, because I lost over 100 elo. I lost 13 times to this one person. And I wasted all my time and I went to go sleep late. But up now and I woke up 5 o'clock. It was 4+ hours of sleep because I'm hungry. I'm hungry. That's why I'm doing this. Doing it for better life. Da, 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 da. We're getting there. We're getting there. I wish you guys could learn, but like I'm trying to improve my ear by listening to a song and then like playing it over what I hear, and I'm getting there. Like, I wish I could practice more. It was so fun. Yeah, listening to tunes I love and then trying to play it by ear, which I can't do, but hopefully one day, hopefully, who knows, who knows, who knows, who knows, who knows. Maybe hopefully one day I can meet him at Cohen, play with him, learn from him. You need to make it for yourself. You need to make it and step it like that, like it. Something gone through, and I guess this is just one of them. Bum, ba bum. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, fucking watch a highlight of Man City. And I'm about to start. Lucky Fody, Fody, Felix Fody. Ha 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 ha. It's offside. He tried to square it for Haaland. Towards Haaland. It breaks for Semedo. Control. Finally get the goal. Ricochet off Berger. Turned in by Semedo.
Now the space out. Wilson, Smith Rowe, all trying to combine, and oh, it's a good save. Wilson, low down, Donnarumma save. Oh, now that's a foul on Haaland. Referee waits play on. Semenyo keeps it going, and now it's with O'Reilly, and City make it two.
Oh my god,
To play advantage, and O'Reilly gets his fourth goal of the season. McNaughey wins it back. Into Foden, on to Haaland. Who scores?
Yo, it's a nice goal of Haaland.
Into Foden, on to Haaland. Who scores?
It's a nice goal of Ali. Ali Akbar.
For City, for Erling Haaland. Again. Wilson, Jimenez. Oh, it's on Smith Rowe.
Memories.
Saved by Ben Leno. They've done their job, taken the half-time score to full-time. Donnarumma ensures the clean sheet as well. Done what they had to. They're within 3 points now of Arsenal.
Let's start, man. Let's start, man. Done some lo-fi. Let's start reading. No, no, no. Yeah, I'm tired, but no one asked. So, yeah. If anyone asked, I'd have told you how tired I was, but I guess no one asked because I have no viewers and no one likes me. No friends. What else? No life. That's why I'm a nerd reading books, sitting in my room playing piano. Why does no one like me, man? Why? Let's go. Let's go. The best time to start was 10 years ago. The best time to start is now. Wisdom. I wish I started streaming, making videos 5, 10 years ago. Can I do something about it now, I guess? I don't listen to what they do. Oh, damn, it's nothing. This was not so so expressive. It's really a lot of me to share you instead. Practice to consider choosing investment brokerage. Frankly, most investment brokerage better necessary. Minimum vision for your investment account. To want to compete minimum required investments, for example, some photos, brokerages, were required to have a still open account. And I recently called Morgan Stanley, the repass broker recommended a minimum balance of 50,000. This is why you get this kind of instead of the government penalty state association frankly that's frankly my solution that is so it has to be difficult. Yes, form of stable. Which you could spell in the house and feature comparison that will law about three my emotions knowledge right decision. So, I like that quote though. Look at that. Include companies and companies and chicken county investment council educated technology to mitigate transform until I was starting to change of the seven. Yeah, nice. I get green. Damn. I'm getting cold. Rather, let me check it. What about the robo advisors? You may have heard about the robo advisors, like Peter robo advisors are investment firms that use computer algorithms to invest your money. Robo refers to a computer investment firm and advisor. But then services of the client and the planning services offered to clients of financial advisors and full service investment firms that vitality and first. And investigation of technology often recent accumulation to our create and improve the user interface. The personalized experience we can get. Also, we want to on the side, but I have a strong opinion of advisors. There are good options. I don't think they are worth the cost, and I agree really with the option. They go for specific. They're saying that in the next couple of years, it makes sense pros and cons. What robo advisors so you can make your own decisions. In the last few years, robo advisors have become increasingly popular, rating ease of use. They have beautiful interfaces on the web and on your phone. They offer low menus and make it easy. To off. Earlier, I think the problem. What's interesting? Judgment. You know, one thing that I don't really like about this book is I feel like it's, I mean, it's a book, so we must make it up, but I feel like there's too much noise and just too much like chatting and less of the actual like content that I'm looking for and actual knowledge. And too much is just like information and feeding information that's not really necessary. Like, yeah. just too much information is not necessary. Like I want to get to the point and you know, be more quick, be more what's the word? Just take action and to apply things. This is your unnecessary information. It's too much. So that makes for me personally a bit boring because not all things practical. Some stuff is just like information. It's man. You track all your accounts, one thing that I was mentioning is searching for long information. Going to keep the track of all account and I think I almost just skipped this whole chapter, honestly. He's talking about what's this, the Roth IRAs and 401ks. And I mean, that's obviously American retirement accounts. But for me, it's like, no, first of all, like, retirement accounts I'm not really a big fan of because, I mean, for one, we is investing for long term. And I don't know. Okay, there might be a lot of flaws in what I'm saying, but I don't wanna live life when I'm or save so heavily to live life when I'm 65 and 70 because I mean that's the like I think that 60 to 65 is the retirement age for when that funds is accessible. Whereas investment I'm assuming it yields higher returns and yeah, probably invest for like 30 years, something like that. So then when I'm 50, I can live well. Yeah, it can contradict itself because, like I said, I don't want to live when I'm only that age, but then again, I'm interested in the investment part of things. Yes. Yeah, just I don't know, I want to get investing in ETFs and stocks as well, or buy shares, equities in companies. Serviço, isso no caso, que Choices shit, yeah. The shortcut that here. Tell me something cool. To be real, this might be the most boring chapter of any book that I've ever read. Uh, I don't know what IRAs and 401ks and HSAs and whatever else, bro. Like, I'm good. You feel me? Like, I'm chilling, man. I'm body. I'm body. I'm bro. I'm chilling, bangy. It was a fun book to read. I like this book. This was open our eyes to investments and ETFs. And yeah, now we're getting into conscious spending, which should be a lot better. Conscious spending should be interesting because I would wanna spend much more conscientiously. Much more conscientiously. You know that's reading 6:30 a.m. in the morning though. And practicing keyboard 5 a.m. in the morning. Waiting. Okay. I used to find it ridiculous when people said you could judge a person by their belt or shoes. Are you kidding me? Can I tell you what kind of soup you like for the earrings you're wearing get the hell out of here? Recently, however, I discovered I was wrong. And if there's one universal shortcut to discovering someone's true character, do they eat chicken wings like an immigrant? Because I don't understand okay, what's good. Then okay, what's good was too low. And I decided to go on a wing crawl. It's like a pub crawl, but with wings. I realized that the most interesting part of eating wings with friends is seeing how much meat they leave on the bone. Some people leave off the chicken and want to this one. I never speak to these people again. See the people in the bones of the and before is the letting with an evil shred of meat and viral get to send and belong to things. That will be statistics in all aspects of the life and then I put it from the country. You know, like my parents never leave a shred of meat and chicken. Some that kind of dedication is really strange. One of cell phones shipping other countries to all the villages. If I shoot it cost more than I can pay for the cars, yes, we don't even know what it really is. On the individual cost add up. How many times have you opened your doors when some shit is explaining how often do you feel guilty about buying something but then do it anyway? In this chapter, entitled to unconscious spending, we're going to gently create a new simple spending. It's time to stop wondering where all your money goes each month. I'm going to help you redirect it to the places you choose, like investing, saving, and spending the money on things you love, but less on the things you don't. Wait, before you run, or I think this chapter on creating a budget. This is not creating a very budget. It will have to maintain every day for the rest of your life. I budgeting is always toward mystery. Creative budget is sort of the worthless advice that personal finance needs to be prescribed. Yet, when the old people read about minimum budget, the eyes glaze over who wants to track this spending. The few people who actually try it find that their budget completely fails after 2 days because tracking every penny is overwhelming. I'm using a 2015 survey by Bankrate.com. The 2% of Americans say they have a budget, which is complete nonsense. Just take a look at the people around you right now. Do you think 8 out of 10 have a budget? I doubt 8 of 10 could even have a budget. But already cooking. Go get him, Brody. Go get him, Brody. Go get him, Brody. Brody. Brody wants to be sarcastic now, but he was just looking back. Someone, what are your E's, bro? Like, hello? Hello? Little chick. Oh, oh, oh. Push 20 push-ups and then start the clean. Take 30 push-ups now, continuing. There's a lot of actual thinking responses to problem. I have to say theory or this thing they should work on a monthly budget. The last 50 plus years. Budgeting is green the vessel around. It's never perfect. It's very, very simple. I'm going to show you a bit the way this will work for teams and measures. This is rated punch spinning for okay. This is pretty much wow, não tá aí pro desse charging próximo termo que eu disse que eu sempre what's down tipo assim Affascinante conoscere tutti i dischi suonare, dare stili del clips, ci spendi devi spiegare il modo che non riesci a c'è una sensazione tight now it's still tanto non è devo spendere driving over questo change mistakes Switching the cost of experience here. Uh, I know I'll cook now, but wait till I get a cut. So, can I make sure, guys? Just go say it's not just really. What did I do? With this being consciously after that, like save to or streaming and consciously. One, I'd say it. I'd say it's on like I like hot drinks, cold drinks that contains caffeine, like cappuccinos, iced coffees, lattes, frappuccinos, those type of those things that I enjoy actually. And yeah, for me it just makes me feel, I don't know why. It's not like that expensive, but when I have a cappuccino, not a cappuccino really, but like a frappuccino or latte or something. It makes me feel accomplished, like I can afford it, like especially Starbucks having something from them. It's like just feel more upper class. I don't know why. That's why I enjoy having one because for me it makes me feel good. I think it's completely justifiable. Else like feel going out, eating out, say, chill, it's fun activities. Spend seconds making room young shoes, of course. Shoes are nice. Shoes large. Not if you're reading this book in the point of deeper. This young woman makes a good out of 6 figure salary as a roommate, each for free at work. Hasn't spent much on fancy electronics, a joining shoes and man. This allows shoes, allows shoes and at a 401k taxable investment account. She makes too much for it off. Little movie money each month with vacation and other savings. Well, charity and she still has money left over. And yes, it's interesting. So, even if this family college, it's money. Because unfortunately, didn't bring balls and so because it didn't give me so every so vamos a ver ejercicio de hacer eso es bien llevando somos tenemos this could virtual the federation cost still at the Ryan but I think my text you know it never spent we people themselves pages and stuff. The confirmation teaching information for the sake of it. The last moment you check on that extreme thing. So to that, control, so if we Excellent, she is very intelligent apartment. So the person is very office and she met at it, which is just listener. Insurance but when she does not actually refers to the deal with she can afford it, which not enough to say the resident pool. She also chooses to say with the resident to about the equity. Condition with a term, each month. Eh, I like this chapter much more than the previous one. This is actually something that's more practical, like, yes, controlling spending with your value and cutting on things that you don't and so on. It's about the hour reading time, something like that. So I'm going to get on the charts now. I have ChatGPT Pro at the moment, so I can open it. Plus Pro at the moment, I think it's Pro. Yeah, should be read online. So an author is cricket on the page 136. 300 and something pages. Big go. 2 minute break. Net 2 minuten. Ik zei, ik ga net 2 minuten vat mee, bro. Net 2 minuten. Kan ik hier in zijn 2 minuten break vat niet meer, bro. Ja, ik ben niet daar voor mij zien. Fakhudin, still with my parcel.
You can change the trajectory of your life. Unfortunately, you're becoming more sedentary in your day-to-day life and sitting comfortable.
Let's share my screen and get started. Okay. Please. No, why I like this is because I know when I'm eventually profitable and making a massive amounts of money, I can look back to this. Oh, research days of figuring things out, of grinding early morning. Yeah, but struggling like for what? Oh, yes. That's it. Yes. Damn.
Ah,
So, mhm.
yes. Um, and execution and
I'm gonna put a lot of time into trading because I'm going to figure this out. Like this. But like before, also, I didn't have a criteria for entry. I just enter because, yeah. price is reacting and so on, but yeah. So usually that probably in the year. Let's see, okay, price broke. So from my understanding, yeah, we had buy side liquidity. Buy side liquidity was taken, we had a retest, and now we're continuing up. After the buy side liquidity has been taken, eh, its practical overall is currently more long. I'm short, so they go short from the series, it will all stocked out now. Um, okay, so let's begin with this. Although the Y is at 8.2 50%. So you want to see sell side get taken. I mean buy side get taken for buys.
No, in Daddy, open.
So it's trending down. You can really look for. First thing is gonna be the negative 27. Formulate, okay. Yeah, I think this makes more sense. I don't think they wanna risk putting all the spies, all these positions in the negatives, or bringing so close to entry. So this is the most possible price currently. 3,300, so far away from these entries. They were having nice here. And I can say this is pretty being taken here under. Okay, so I'm gonna pull my fob out. The possible. Okay. 78. 6 would be the best entry point. I shouldn't be looking for cells. Price is clearly still falling and trending downwards. So yeah, I should just wait. Now the thing confused. Okay, anyways, make sense. Take a breather, take a breather. Ah, okay. What's happening with Paris? So where are we looking to go bring price? First question I'm gonna ask myself is see currently majority of the moves is to the downside. The bring price to that down. Previously we rejected the 3,500 level and had a great reaction of it. Bringing price all the way down to 3,200. Okay. So now if price is falling, how do we make sense of this? We like are we looking for price to come down all the way take out the price that happened in the beginning of the year? No, probably not. So what's next? Good question to ask is where the liquidity be sitting? Where do you want to be taking off and then checking off? And for me, the first thing is this level. What I most likely want to see is price comes, take liquidity, and have a reaction and bounce, dump it. Currently in this trading range. Yeah, that is currently what I would want to see. Continuous. Share price plays out. What I'm looking for is level as a liquidity setting. It wasn't taking it so. Maybe it seems to get bias in breaking higher. Bias is sell, I mean, the bias is buying stop losses here, accumulating stop losses. I still won't break it. The point is the marketing got up, man. I don't really understand it. Seems like I will broke lower. Oh, sell side liquidity is taken even here. I feel so lost now because I'm trying to process new information and oh, oh,
Now let's talk about how the best students structure their days. Turns out there are great studies on this. There's a really nice paper, in fact, that surveyed close to 700 students. These were medical students, approximately equal number of male and female students, and analyzed the most useful learning habits. That is, the learning habits associated with the most successful students. Now, anytime you do a study like this where people take surveys, there's always the issue of causality. In fact, we can pretty much set aside any possible causality. For instance, I'm about to tell you that the very best performing students tend to study for about 3 or 4 hours per day. But you could easily say, well, they're the best students because they study 3
4 hours per day. They don't study 3 or 4 hours per day because they're the best students. And you'd be exactly right. Okay. We can get into all sorts of discussions about correlation versus causation, about reverse causality, and on and on. However, none of that is the point here. The point here is to establish what are the habits that the most successful students seem to incorporate over and over again, regardless of what classes they're taking, regardless of where they are in their arc of their learning trajectory. And so what we know based on this study, and I'll provide a link to it in the show note captions, is that there are at least 10 study habits that the highly effective students use. I'm going to focus on the top 5 or 6 just for sake of time, because it turns out that most of the effect, it appears, of being a better student can be attributed to the 5 or 6 habits. First of all, they set aside time to study. They literally schedule time to study. Now, this probably serves several roles. The first one is that they are able to clear out other distractions. And in fact, that's the second thing that they do. They are very effective where they make it a point of putting their phone away and off, of isolating themselves. That's right. That is not studying with other people. They study alone, which is not to say that people who study with others cannot be effective in their studying, but the best performing students seem to study alone. They put their phone away. They tell their friends and families that they are not going to be able to be reached during that time. And yes, they study for 3 or 4 hours per day, but they break that up into a couple of different sessions, typically 2 or 3 sessions. So they're not doing a 3 or 4 hour studying bout all in one shot. So they're managing their time, they're eliminating distractions, and they're studying for a consistent amount of time, 5 days per week. Okay, presumably they're taking some weekends off, although that wasn't made clear from this paper. The other thing that they do, and this is very important, is that they make an effort to then teach their peers, to teach other students in the class. Now, some of you may be thinking, I'm thinking back to college here, mostly, that if you spend all this time learning the information and you are in a competitive scenario with the other students, that teaching them the information is kind of a freebie for them and it's harder for you, meaning you're putting yourself at a competitive disadvantage or you're giving them an unfair advantage for not having done the work. Now, while this paper didn't do an analysis of whether or not these students that served as the learners from the other students got an unfair advantage, it's very clear that students who make it a point to learn material in isolation, then bring that material to other students in the same course and teach them, perform exceedingly well in comparison to the other students. So don't be afraid to be a teacher of your peers in order to test, this is key, to test and develop mastery of the material. Now, in my laboratory for years, we used to have a saying, which I simply picked up from the laboratories I was trained in. I didn't come up with the saying, which was watch one, do one, teach one. And that was referring to doing surgeries or suturing or doing an antibody reaction or a Western blot or things that you do in laboratories. Watch one, do one, teach one. Watch one, do one, teach one, of course, should be reserved to anything where no one's going to be put in danger by the watch one, do one, teach one procedure. And some procedures, especially in laboratories, can be dangerous given the materials you use, etc. And of course, today we're talking about learning and studying generally. So provided it's safe, watch one, do one, teach one is an excellent means to learn, that is to study new material to develop proficiency and even mastery. And over time, perhaps even virtuosity. We'll return to that later, those distinctions. So going back to this idea that the best students set aside time, they designate time to study alone without distractions. That is sure to help them anchor their know, use their voice. For a limited resource. Longer you're awake, the more build up of adenosine in your body as you sleep, makes it harder to focus. When you sleep, the adenosine levels are pushed down again. You're able to focus again. You feel more alert. You can think of adenosine as limiting your attentional budget, which is not to say that some people don't study best in the afternoon or in the evening or even late at night, right? I recall times during university when I studied between the hours of 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. I don't do that any longer, but scheduling time where you know you're going to need to be focused and attentive is perhaps one of the most important things toward being able to focus and attend to the material. Now, if you're taking courses, you probably are going to be a slave to the timing of the courses. You aren't going to be able to tell the instructor, okay, listen, I want you to do this course at 3 p.m. because that's when you learn best. or at 8 a.m. because that's when you have to attend best. However, to the extent that you have any control over the time in which you're going to study, keeping that at a regular time or times, perhaps 1 block early in the day, 1 block later in the day, perhaps 2 blocks early in the day, and so on, is going to be beneficial. It turns out that's also supported by the research literature, that the brain, just like with its sleep-wake cycles that entrain to a regular schedule, that is, your brain and body gets used to being active and inactive at particular times based on exposure to sunlight, exposure to activities, your social roles, etc. Early, meaning about 3 days, the point to focus and study at particular times. Again, pull your attention back. It's not pulling your attention back to a specific application, perhaps on a page or that you're listening to in a lecture. Your body and brain will start to entrain to that such that you'll be able to focus and attend better simply by virtue of the regularity of the exposure to the material. Okay, so you probably need about 2 or 3 days to break into a regular schedule of focusing and attending and studying at a given time or times. Allow yourself that transition period, but then make it a point to schedule those times to study. Set aside your phone. Tell people you're going offline. Turn off the Wi-Fi if you need to or have to. You may need it for your studying. I don't know. Depends on what you're studying, but limit distractions at all costs and learn to just focus on the material. And this is a skill. This is the most important thing to understand. It's a skill to be able to focus and study. It's a skill that you can learn very quickly, especially if you schedule it for regular times and you give yourself 2 or 3 days in which to adapt to those schedules and times, and then try and stick to them as regularly as possible, perhaps even on the weekends if you're approaching the end of your quarter or semester, perhaps even on the weekend, even if you're not in the quarter or semester. Keeping those regular times will entrain your nervous system to study and learn at its best at those particular times. There's one other point that I wanted to pass along from this really nice study on the study habits of highly effective medical students that I've been referring to. And that is when one examined, or these people were asked about their motivation for studying, the best performing students had an interesting answer. They had a very long-term understanding of how, or belief rather, about how their success in medical school would impact their family, how it would impact their life arc, how it would change them. And they weren't particular about the ways in which it would change them. In fact, it was a rather broad, abstract, aspirational way of thinking about their study efforts. So what I like so much about this paper is that, in addition to having a fairly large sample size, close to 700 students that were evaluated, yes, it's really, self-report and this kind of thing. Nonetheless, it bridges the two extremes of studying and learning. It gets right down into the nitty-gritty of how long they study, when they study, the things they do to limit distraction that we just discussed. But it also gets to their underlying psychological motivations and the thing they use in order to pull them forward through their study efforts, perhaps especially when their desire is waning or their level of fatigue is increasing. I don't know that, I'm speculating here, but this is this aspirational component of going to medical school, which it turns out in the country in which the study was done, only very, very select few, the very best students are able to achieve that. And they have to learn the information in a different language altogether, which is incredible. Marvel at that. I have friends that did their PhD thesis in Italy. They're Italian by birth, run a laboratory in Italy. And they had to do their PhD training and write papers and give their thesis, dissertation, and defense in English, even though English was their second language. So talk about a challenge. And that's just one example that I think of. There are many examples of that. These students that I'm referring to in this study are not necessarily constantly thinking about how their efforts will transform themselves and their families, but they certainly were able to report what it was specifically that they are seeking, what they're aspiring to, besides just trying to do as well as they can getting into it through that. So the high-level aspirational stuff within you, whatever that is for you, it's going to be an individual, is certainly important, and it offers a bookend to the nuts and boltsy kind of stuff that you're going to do, I would hope, in order to best study and learn specific material So the specific actions that you're going to take each day to learn specific bits of information that will pull you toward those important aspirations. And now, again, if you love the material you're learning, this aspirational component is probably not as important, right? I can recall during that about a million different topics. Like, oh my goodness, circadian rhythms, seasonal rhythms, melatonin, neural circuits, dopamine. I was just awash with excitement about what I was learning. But of course, sometimes I don't know if it was more challenging or not, but I had a harder time engaged by the material, either by virtue of how it was being taught to me or the material itself. So the ability to attach to some aspirational goal to pull you through can be very valuable. You're not going to love every topic you have to learn. However, I will say that, at least in my experience, some of the courses that I look back on most fondly are the courses that I struggled with the most. And in fact, that's the basis of the next and easily one of the most important studying tools. So a key theme in all of the excellent literature, that is the peer-reviewed research on how best to study, is that studying that feels challenging is the most effective. I know nobody wants to hear this. Everyone wants to hear about flow. Everybody wants to hear about information just sinking into their brain by osmosis. I think the Garfield cartoon where we talked about learning by osmosis. There's this very cute real world video of a kid in a classroom. I believe it's in China where he's taking the book and he puts it on his head. Maybe I can find this clip and he's just kind of like trying to wash it into his brain. It's super cute clip, but guess what? That doesn't work. I mean, it works to put the book on your head. It doesn't work. It's not going to get the information into your brain. Perhaps someday there will be ways to rapidly download information into neural circuits. Right now, we've known for hundreds, if not thousands of years, that effort is the cornerstone of learning. So I know there are probably some groans about that. I know some of you perhaps were hoping that today I was going to tell you how to study so that studying wasn't painful. I think I can accomplish that by the end of today's episode. But in order to do that, let's take another quiz. Can you name or list off in your mind 3 tools that the most effective students have been shown to use? I can think of limiting distraction by virtue of putting away phones and telling others you won't be in contact with them. 2, and I'm getting these out of order, I realize, is to isolate, to study alone. And the 3rd that I can recall is to teach others in the same course. Okay, you can probably think of a few others. Now, why are we taking these silly little quizzes? Well, turns out they're not so silly when one considers that hopefully you'll remember the information from today so that you don't have to listen to it over and over again, but that there was a strongly research-supported tool in the literature, in the peer-reviewed literature about how students can learn information better. It's testing. I know. We think of it as a way to evaluate our knowledge, but it turns out that testing is one of the best ways to build our knowledge, to retain our knowledge, again, to offset forgetting.
Oh, can my laptop just work, please? One. Now it is 5 o'clock. Say for Paris, I don't see us breaking here. It's breaking here. It's probably security about that area. Okay, so they're breaking before we get into this level. Yeah, no, we're coming from here. currently. Okay. Currently making higher lows, higher lows. We are your equals continuation if we're gonna break above. And we bullish right on here. Guys, I'm gonna go ahead and stream tickets. Today I'm going to definitely be working on my trading evening and figuring things out so that I have more clarity when I'm coming back to the markets. It's not like I'm starting from scratch, but yeah, I'm just refining a few things. That's all for now. Thank you.